Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're really focusing on assertive communication. It sounds simple, maybe, but actually doing it, especially under pressure, that's tough.
It really is.
So we're going to dig into what I think is the most, structured and powerful tool for this, the "I feel I need" statement.
Yeah, and this deep dive is really about the mechanics. How do you actually make that shift? It's not just about being nicer.
Yeah.
It's fundamentally restructuring how you approach conflict.
Right.
The aim is pretty straightforward. But focus on honesty, yes, but also respect. And that lets you move away from that really natural tendency to blame or get defensive.
And instead move towards actually solving the problem together.
Exactly. Collaborative problem solving.
And we're not just stopping at "I feel I need." We're going to unpack the whole thing, the full 3 steps. I feel I need, and then that really crucial third piece, let's negotiate. And importantly, we're connecting all of this to our brain states, physiologically, explaining why this specific structure is, kind of key for emotional regulation for everyone involved, adults and kids.
It's fascinating, actually, because that clear structure you mentioned, that's the bedrock of making this work.
Okay, so let's start right there with that foundation, the "I feel I need" structure. It's like assertiveness 101, but so many people, myself included sometimes, struggle to use it authentically.
Absolutely.
What's the biggest, the most immediate payoff we get when we consciously choose those I words instead of just, defaulting to blame?
Well, the first thing, and probably the most powerful, is how it immediately cuts down on blame. It
Okay.
changes the whole dynamic.
Right.
This is about managing the relationship, not just winning the argument. When you use an I statement, you're basically offering data, information about your internal world.
Right. It's data, not an accusation.
Precisely. You're presenting facts about yourself, I feel X, not delivering a judgment on the other person.
Yeah, because the second you say something like, "You always leave your mess," boom, you've just pushed them into their own defensive corner.
Instantly.
And the conversation's basically over before it even starts.
Exactly. Our source material really highlights that contrast. Think about "you never listen to me" versus "I feel unheard when I'm interrupted."
Huge difference.
It's night and day, isn't it?
Yeah.
The second one is about your genuine internal experience. It's much less triggering, and honestly, it's pretty hard for someone to rationally argue against how you feel.
That makes sense. And focusing inward like that, it does something else important, right?
Yeah.
It encourages self-awareness.
Absolutely. That's benefit number 2, and it's huge.
Yeah.
When you actually stop and manage to say, okay, I feel frustrated when X happens, you have to pause.
You have to notice it first.
You have to notice it, name it, instead of just lashing out impulsively. And that tiny pause, it gives your rational brain, your prefrontal cortex, a split second to catch up.
So, okay, we slow down the reaction, we focus inward, and then when we move from "I feel" to "I need," suddenly we're steering the whole conversation towards a solution. That promotes problem solving.
That's it exactly. It's a critical 1-2 punch. If I say, I feel overwhelmed when the kitchen is messy, okay, I've stated the emotion. But if I follow up with, I need us to figure out a quick cleanup routine after dinner, now I've directly offered a path forward, a potential solution.
So that's benefit 3 and 4. Right there. Promoting problem solving and actually strengthening the relationship because you're inviting this open, honest dialogue.
It's authentic dialogue.
Okay, that sounds great. And it works
Mhm.
when the other person is willing and, able to meet the need. But let's throw a wrench in it. What happens when the need, even if you state it calmly, just can't be met right now? Anyway,
Yeah.
this feels like where the real skill comes in because that's when the relationship gets tested, right?
This is exactly where acknowledgement and negotiation becomes so critical. A lot of people, especially parents, I think, get validation confused with agreement.
Good point.
Acknowledgement just means, I hear you, your feeling is real, and it makes sense given the situation. It does not automatically mean, okay, I'll give you what you're asking for.
Okay.
Making that distinction is so important for teaching flexibility and building resilience, particularly in kids, but honestly in adults too.
So the skill is validating the feeling without necessarily greenlighting the request. You're sort of building a bridge for later communication, even if you can't solve the immediate issue right now.
That's a great way to put it. You could say something like, I hear that you feel really frustrated and you need more time to play right now.
Okay.
That validation shows the person, child or adult, that they were heard, their feeling was respected, even if the ultimate answer has to be no or not right now. It shifts the dynamic instantly away from just a power struggle.
Okay, but I can already hear listeners thinking, what if the need is genuinely non-negotiable? Maybe it's a safety issue or really firm boundary or, a hard deadline that just can't move. Does this assertive model still work then?
That's a really important clarification. If the need involves, say, crossing a firm boundary or a safety issue, the assertive model is still your starting point. You still use I feel to state your boundary clearly.
Okay.
But the negotiation part becomes, well, non-negotiable itself. For instance, with safety, you might assert, I feel really anxious when you run near the street. I need you to hold my hand right now.
Right. No negotiation there.
Exactly. Safety isn't up for debate. But the assertive language still maintains respect, which is way better than escalating into threats or yelling. For the everyday stuff, though, chores, playtime, deadlines at work negotiation is what prevents those typical win-lose fights.
Okay, so let's use that common scenario from the source material. The child wants more time with the blocks, but the parent needs to get dinner started. How does that play out assertively?
Right. So the child might say, maybe yelling, maybe crying, I feel mad. I need more time to play with my blocks.
Okay, typical kid reaction.
Totally normal. The parent's job then is to try, really try, to stay in that regulated, calm, executive state. First, validate the emotion, then state their own need.
So
Like, okay, I hear you. You feel really mad, and that's okay to feel mad. I need us to start cleaning up now, though, because dinner's almost ready, and sticking to our routine helps everyone.
and then comes the negotiation piece, the solution focus.
Yes, the offer of a compromise, maybe connecting it to the future. How about this? We agree on 5 more minutes. Just enough time to finish the roof on that tower you're building.
Okay.
Then we clean up together, and tomorrow, right after school, we can get them out again and finish whatever you want. Does that sound like a plan?
Mm-hmm.
See, that shows the parent respects the child's goal, finishing the tower, while still holding the family need, the routine, the dinner. That's powerful learning happening right there.
Okay, let's unpack that a bit more. That collaborative approach, the OWL approach we'll get to, that's the goal.
Yeah.
But why is it so hard, even for us as adults who know better, to actually maintain that calm, logical tone when we feel triggered?
Because asserted needs, especially unmet ones, often hit our stress buttons hard. When the amygdala, think of it as the brain's little smoke detector or stress button senses conflict or threat.
Yeah.
It basically hijacks the prefrontal cortex. That's where our logic, our reasoning, our impulse control lives.
So it just gets shut down.
Pretty much bypassed. We get thrown instantly into an unconscious brain state that takes over our reaction. And that state, it has nothing to do with being rational and everything to do with survival.
Wow. So our communication style in those moments isn't really about how smart we are. It's more about which part of our brain is calling the shots when things get tense.
Exactly, which is why understanding these states is so helpful.
Okay, so let's look at those 3 states you mentioned and the sort of communication animals tied to them.
Right. We can categorize these reactive behaviors pretty neatly. First, you've got the survival state. This is rooted in the brainstem, the most primitive part. Its only question is, am I safe?
Okay, primal stuff.
Very primal. When we're operating from here, we default to aggressive communication. Think of it as the tiger.
Roar.
The tiger is all about immediate control, domination, fighting off the perceived threat. You see it in yelling, hostile tones, demanding language, or that parent threatening, you will do this now or else.
The tiger relies on fear to get immediate compliance.
Correct. Then moving up slightly, you have the emotional state. This is linked to the limbic system, the emotional center. This state is constantly asking, am I loved? Am I accepted?
Oh, okay.
And this state typically leads to non-assertive communication. We call this the turtle.
Hiding in its shell.
Exactly. The turtle avoids conflict at all costs. It shrinks from stating its needs, often sacrifices its own boundaries just to get approval or avoid rocking the boat.
So the communication sounds
Passive, maybe pleading, kind of wishy-washy. It's the adult saying, oh, I guess it's okay if the meeting runs late. I'll just work through lunch, even when they're furious inside.
right. The turtle hopes the problem disappears if they just retract. But that frustration builds up inside, doesn't it? It erodes the relationship over time.
Absolutely. It's not sustainable. Which brings us to where we want to be, the executive state. This operates from the prefrontal cortex, the thinking brain.
The goal state.
This is the assertive communicator, which we call the OWL.
Wise owl.
Wise owl. The owl asks, okay, what's the most collaborative, effective, and respectful solution here for everyone involved? The focus shifts to choice, mutual respect, clarity.
And the tone is?
Steady, calm, clear, direct, confident, but not aggressive.
That framework makes so much sense. It immediately clarifies the goal state. And if we can manage to stay in that owl state, that 3-step, I feel that he needs to negotiate structure, probably feels much more natural, almost automatic.
It does, because the owl doesn't just sound calm. It actually uses more precise and less inflammatory language. Judith Belmont's work highlights some specific ways the owl talks differently.
Right. Let's touch on those language shifts.
Yeah, it's about structural changes in how you speak. Belmont emphasizes using clear I statements, obviously, instead of those blaming you statements.
Okay.
The owl avoids judgment, focuses on the impact of the behavior on them. So I feel embarrassed when I receive criticism in front of the whole team, instead of the tiger saying, you deliberately try to make me look bad in meetings.
That's a big difference. And we need to resist that urge to blow things out of proportion when we're stressed, right?
Yeah.
The tiger loves to generalize.
Oh, absolutely. Turning one mistake into, you always mess this up. That's why the owl makes point to be specific instead of over-catastrophizing.
So stick to the facts of the situation.
Exactly. If you're frustrated, refer to a specific event. I was upset that the deadline got moved yesterday without anyone letting me know. Compare that to the turtle or tiger just sighing, this whole project is always disorganized, which just makes everyone defensive.
Right, it's not constructive. And the last key language shift, moving from demanding to inviting.
Yes. The owl gets that making demands instantly puts people's backs up. It triggers resistance. So the owl learns to ask for a change instead of commanding it.
Softer approach.
It's assertive, not aggressive. Going forward, I'd really appreciate it if we could agree on changes together. Is assertive, respectful, collaborative. You must never change a deadline without my approval again. That's a survival state demand. It just fuels the fire.
Okay, let's connect this to the bigger picture then. An adult's ability to stay in that executive state, to model being the owl. It's probably the most powerful lesson we can teach, especially to kids.
Without a doubt.
Children learn self-regulation less from the rules we preach and more from the emotional control we actually show them. Dysregulated parents often raise dysregulated children, right?
It's almost inevitable. It's the parent's executive state that helps regulate the child's developing system. If the adult is constantly snapping, yelling, collapsing, or shutting down during conflict, the child just doesn't get that safe, connected modeling they need to learn complex coping skills themselves. And it's hard work. It's hard precisely because, let's be honest, many of us didn't grow up seeing this kind of owl modeling consistently.
Yeah, that definitely hits home for me. I know when I was a kid, the focus often felt like it was on immediate compliance. Stop the crying, fix the problem. My parents, doing their best, but they often jumped to logic over empathy when I was upset.
Very common pattern.
And it often left me feeling kind of minimized, even though I knew their intentions were probably good.
That was incredibly common for previous generations. It's helpful, I think, to identify some of those ingrained responses, the tiger or turtle responses that we might default to, so we can consciously avoid them. Think about the common ways adults shut down emotional validation, even unintentionally.
Okay, like jumping straight to problem solving before acknowledging the feeling. Stop crying. It's not that big a deal. Let's just fix this.
Exactly. Or the parent who talks to a child as if they have adult-level impulse control. You should know better than to run out like that. It ignores the reality of their developing brain.
Right. And what about the adult who's just uncomfortable with big emotions, the calm down, you're overreacting response?
Classic turtle reaction, often. Or sometimes tiger trying to regain control. It completely minimizes the child's or even another adult's experience. It subtly teaches them that their big feelings are wrong or unwelcome. All of those responses, whether they come from the tiger's need for control or the turtle's fear of messiness, they miss the golden opportunity for real emotional teaching. They leave the other person feeling dismissed, maybe unsafe to even express what's really going on for them.
So contrast that with the owl response, the executive state response. It might feel awkward at first if it wasn't how things were handled for us growing up.
The owl response always prioritizes connection first, before jumping to solutions. It sounds more like, wow, I can see you are incredibly upset right now. That feeling makes total sense to me in this situation.
And start with validation.
Always. Let's just take a breath together for a second. Then, when we're both a bit calmer, let's figure this out together. See the sequence. Validate, connect, offer co-regulation. Then introduce the structure, maybe the I feel I need conversation. It teaches the child, and honestly reinforces for the adult too, that feelings are safe, they're manageable, and solutions are possible together.
Okay, so practically speaking, for someone listening who wants to implement this, how do they physically pull themselves out of that tiger or turtle state when they feel that urge to snap or shut down coming on strong?
The first and honestly the most powerful thing you can do is physical. Pause and breathe. Seriously. Stop talking if you need to. Take 3 slow, deep breaths, diaphragmatic breaths if you can.
Why does that work?
It sends a direct physiological signal back to your amygdala, basically saying, okay, the immediate threat has passed. We can stand down from red alert. It interrupts the hijack.
Okay, breathe first. What else?
Second, try to model calming aloud. Don't just stand there breathing silently, maybe looking tense. Actually say something like, wow, I'm feeling really frustrated right now, so I need to take 3 deep breaths to calm down.
Narrate it.
Exactly. It does 2 things. It reinforces the calm for you, and it's a masterclass in emotional regulation for anyone watching, especially kids. They see how you handle stress.
This has been, wow, a really deep dive into the architecture of assertive communication. We've covered those 3 crucial steps. Identify the feeling, state the need, and then use that vital step of negotiation. All while aiming to operate from that calm, clear executive state, the owl. Assertiveness really is that middle path, isn't it? Using your voice effectively without steamrolling others or just giving in.
Absolutely. And it's worth remembering this applies everywhere. Leading a team at work, navigating family dynamics, friendships. The way you handle conflict is probably the most powerful lesson you model for others.
Yeah.
That regulation or lack thereof that you show in tense moments, that gets internalized by the people around you way more deeply than any rules or lectures you might give. Teachers see it too. They often know which kids come from homes where conflict is handled calmly.
That leaves us with a really important question for you, the listener, to think about. We know aggressive communication, the tiger, can seem effective short-term. It might stop a behavior out of fear, right? It gets the toys cleaned up now.
It can, temporarily.
But what skill is the child actually learning about conflict resolution when their primary experience is being met with a survival state response? If their only tools become fight, flight, or freeze, because that's what they've internalized, how does that play out later in their adult relationships when true partnership and negotiation are needed?
What happens to their ability to regulate themselves when things get tough?
Exactly. Something to really chew on until our next deep dive.